What if you could look at several seasonal patterns side by side and directly figure out which one has the strongest setup? My name is Christoph Zenk. I'm co-founder and managing director of Seasonax, and I'm about to introduce you to our very brand new compare feature, one of the most requested features we did this year so far, and I'm really excited to give you a preview on how this works for you. For this, I will jump into our application directly, and you might be familiar with this first screen. You have the search bar here, you have the screener in this section. I'm seeing here upcoming interesting patterns in the S&P 500, and I will showcase you the compare feature with McKesson Corporation. Now, clicking on that asset, you will directly see the already probably known intra-year chart of McKesson Corporation. We have a marked pattern here from the 31st of March to the 24th of May. I will slightly adjust this one to have, let's say, 2 full months in this setup. I have now a highlighted pattern for 2 months. I would directly see the pattern returns of the last 10 years. I would see the start date and the start price, end date, and the profit of every single year. And what is new now is the new compare section, which you as a professional subscriber could directly open up. And you would now see within the compare section, there are year, date range, and instrument, and all work a little bit different to each other. What you might know from the past already is you could pick here, let's say, a single year, apply to this, and you will directly see how the seasonal charts for the last 10 years looks like compared to a single year, which is already pretty nice. You could also add additional years here in this view, and you would now have 4 charts visibly seen. One is the McKesson Corporation chart for the last 10 years, and then you see 2025, 2024, and 2023 all in the same chart. And you would additionally see, and this is pretty new, you will additionally see the statistics on the marked pattern, which now shows you how in 2023, 2024, and 2025 the pattern did and how it did on average over the last 10 years. And you have a direct comparison between the single years and the asset itself, which is already nice. And we had parts of that in the last version of Seasonax already. But let me introduce you to new sections which you can now play with again. The second one is date range. What date range does is, let's say you have a chart for the last 25 years, which you would see here, pretty stable pattern by the way, and you would now like to compare it to the last 15 or the last 5 years. What you can now do is you add a chart for the last 15 years, you add one for the last 5 years maybe, apply that, and what you would now see is 3 seasonal charts with 3 different date ranges, one for 5 years in red, one for 15 years in gold, and then the McKesson Corporation main chart, which is set to 25 years. And you would now see this marked pattern and the results for the last 3 years. You don't have to switch between charts anymore. You can directly see those in one chart directly. What I like in this setup, for example, especially if you have a setup where the pattern starts on the first of a month, you could shift the chart, and I'm doing that here to the left-hand side. So, sorry, wrong direction. I'm shifting the chart. So it starts at the 1st of April, and you would now see how the 3 differently evolved over time with 5, 15, or the 25 years, which is pretty nice already. And last but not least, there is a third part in the compare feature, which I personally like the most, and this is called instrument. What you can now directly do is compare the main seasonal chart, in this case again, let's say for 15 years, with other instruments. And to showcase this, I would like to compare McKesson Corporation with 2 other instruments out of the healthcare sector. That's why I would jump into the screener for just a few seconds, opening up the screener here, switching to the US sector's healthcare, and I would see that Boston Scientific and Intuitive Surgical is pretty interesting right now, so I would pick Boston Scientific in this case. And I'll just directly type in the instrument I'm looking for. Oh, 1 second. What was the name? Boston Scientific. There it is. And I'll add a second one, which is intuitive. Surgical. Now what you see here is I have my main chart. I did pick 2 other charts or instruments, and now I'm applying those. And what I can directly see now is those 3 charts in the same chart, all now based on the last 15 years. Again, I could mark my period from the 1st of April to, let's say, the 31st of May. And I would directly compare those 3 patterns now between those 3 assets. And I would see their annual return, the average return, and so on. And I, on my own, could now pick one of the 3, which I might prefer. Still, I would go for McKesson Corporation, this setup. In the last 15 years, 3 gains, 2 losses, 8.24% win profit. So what I directly did here is I can, without switching tabs, compare assets to each other. And what you might ask now is, why do they look similar? They're all out of the healthcare sector, which has its very own seasonality. But I'm pretty confident with that setup. I could now reset the chart, figure out if which setup helps me most. I would again go for this pattern. I'm doing a last check on the numbers on the right-hand side, 60.26% annualized return in the last 25 years, 8.08% average return. Looks like a really stable pattern for me. And this is what the new compare feature can do for you. We're looking forward to have feedback from your end, so feel free to reach out to support. I hope you love the new feature, and every single feedback which we get from your end will help us creating new features or adapting existing ones. It was a really highlight and a pleasure for me to talk to all of you and give you a slight insight to the compare feature. Looking forward to get feedback from you. See you soon.